Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Um, so good evening to you. Believe this is Thursday. I've been home for a number of weeks recovering from knee replacement. So it's not easy to keep track of the days. Usually do this on Monday, but it's Thursday night, so we're getting close to the end of the work week. And today's topic, what was I going to call it? I can't see it here, but I think we're going to talk about why singleness is so hard. And the reason I wanted to talk about this topic tonight, knowing full well that I have no idea how this is going to turn out, is that for the last 3 months, the YouTube analytics have changed entirely on my channel. And now it says that 100% of the views or view minutes, I don't know which one it is, excuse me, I have a cold, are coming from the age group of 18 to 24. I appreciate everybody being here so far tonight. Now, 18 to 24 is really remarkable, considering, a year ago, it was like 55 to 64, and then another part of it became 55 to 64, or maybe there was another 10 years older than that. But to be solidly where we have been, 18 to 24, leads me to believe that there probably is a significant number of younger men, mostly men, according to that analytic, who are watching the channel. Now, only about 36 or 7% of my subscribers are collecting the minutes. So there's a lot of view minutes out there from people who are not subscribers. Maybe it's some of the younger fellows, I don't know. And so today I just wanted to do a live stream to talk about being single and the struggles of that. Now, I want you to take notice there at the start or the top of the live chat, and I'll make sure this is readily seen when we're all done. There's a WordPress.com blog site for Love Beyond the Sea. And in that site, if you click on that link, it'll take you to the one shop or one place for all shopping blog, where you have my articles that Mr. E cared enough to put up there. He put my articles and videos. He has a really nice arranged blog site. He's got some articles on there of his own, got a way to contact us. He's got my wife's channel on there, the Fil-Am Essence. If you scroll down to the bottom right, you got Twitter, where I try to have tweets from the videos. So if people don't watch the videos, it's fine. You can get tweets from videos, just tweets. They're probably 200 characters or less. And then there's a Facebook site that I have. It's all right there. It's all there. But something I wanted to talk about in conjunction with tonight's topic is that second link there, the one that starts riot.im app group lvbts.com or .com, I can't tell. That second link will take you to a freshly created, as of last night, message board. It's called Community Corner. And you can go to that link and sign up for to be able to use the message boards. Right now, we've got one called the Lifestyle Lounge, and the Relationship Lounge. And there's different topics that you can talk about in there. And it's come to my attention that there's a lot of people in their 20s and 30s who are on certain, message boards, and sometimes it can get a little out of control. Maybe it's not very positive. And so Mr. E, I don't know a lot about the man, but he cares about the message, which is to help get the word out, whether you're young or middle-aged or older, that you may have to consider going overseas for a wife. Don't rule it out. I had to do that. And this guy has worked his butt off because he cares. And if you look at the WordPress.com site there, click on that top link. It's really impressive. I mean, I can't get over somebody would want to do that, but they care. They care about the message, and I care about people. I know what it's like to be alone without any hope whatsoever. And Phil's to Phoenix. Hi, John. How are you tonight? I hope it's a tame evening. Of just explaining here that, these two links up there. One is for the community corner, which is a brand new. The paint is still dry, so you have to be careful. If you lean up against a wall there in the community corner, you could get some paint on you. It was just finished up yesterday. We're just announcing it today. I'd like it to be a message board where it's we can focus on self-improvement, relationship type of topics, which is what I kind of want to talk about today. Talk about I'll have to switch to my phone here. There's lots of things we can talk about today. I will have some Michael and Heidi, glad you're here tonight. I will have some, since I want it to be a clean message board, we do have to have some rules. And so right now I'm looking at my phone at the community corner. I'll just say Love Beyond the Sea Community Corner is a biblical pro-marriage group that helps encourage and inspire men to pursue foreign women for marriage. This community provides an area where relationship, self-improvement, and lifestyle advice can be discussed and shared. And then there's a link to the channel. We have some rules there to familiarize yourself with. And if you're new to Riot and Matrix, and you have problems joining, some common troubleshooting steps are listed there below. That would be in that second link there that says Community Corner. Now, I'm very serious about this. I have to admit, I don't have Love Beyond the Sea for kicks. Yes, I'd like to enjoy it, but a lot of enjoyment to me comes from having it, make an impact. So, since I got married, and then about a year after that, I thought, well, I want to do a channel to help other guys like me, who I was alone for 30 years, laboring in the United States of America, seemingly wondering, look, did I get started too late? I was 25 or so before I really got serious about relationship. Is it too late? Because man, nothing was happening. And finally, at 53, I know to some of you that doesn't sound old, but to me at the time it did. I joined the international dating site Christian Filipina, and I said, why not? What have I got to lose? And very rapidly, I got married because there were a lot of women there that are interested, and that's one of the things we can talk about tonight. And if you guys want to talk to me about your experiences on other dating sites, how depressing that can be because there's seemingly lack of response. So this way, with, let's say, Christian Filipina, there was no silliness. I mean, the women there want to get married. I don't think they're going to brush you off, like women here have. It's a whole different experience. Thanks, Michael and Heidi. I appreciate that. It is something I want to do. I wanted to get married all those years. I wasn't looking to do anything else. And I wasn't looking or praying for a girlfriend either. I wanted a wife. That was what my focus was. So probably not too terribly surprising. We got married in only 54 days. And from the time I winked at her to the time I went to the Philippines, and we got married. And so I want to help other people. I know there's got to be a reason that so many younger guys are watching this channel. I don't believe the statistics are as heavily loaded as they're saying, because I know better than that, but there is a very strong amount of people. Now, a lot of you are probably coming from JD's excellent blog called Foreign Wife, Happy Life. JD's a younger guy, and he has a lot of help there for men who are looking for multiple countries. It doesn't just have to be here. I mean, in the Philippines, where I married my wife. And I would recommend going check that out. I know the analytics show more than half of my view minutes, I should say traffic for view minutes, comes from JD's fine site. So there's another individual who believes that, men may need to think about going overseas, as Mr. E said in his article on my WordPress site, offshoring your love. And so a lot of guys are, you see that on YouTube now and then, younger guys, and I'm not going to ever say no, the middle-aged, the older man shouldn't look for a Filipina, because he should, because, it's one of the few places it seems you can get an English-speaking, feministic, westernized wife. And what I don't want people to do is to do like I did and just wait for so long, just spinning your wheels thinking something's going to crack sooner or later. I tried all kinds of things, your self-esteem goes in the gutter. And, then you feel like, well, there must be something terribly wrong with me, that I'm the only one that doesn't notice. I appreciate the thumbs up. And so the videos, Walt Tolander, thank you for being here today, Walt. The videos on the channel are, I have a couple of videos for younger guys, because I do believe that younger guys need to at least be open to the possibility of finding love beyond the sea, because things were tough 4.5 years ago when I was still single, and in some ways I think they're tougher now. So I appreciate the thumbs up. Let me just run over these rules here, community. We'll talk about different topics I have, but I wanted to really talk about this WordPress community corner, because right now, like I said, that it's got the new car smell to it. It hasn't been used. It's been set up. I joined, so we think we got the bugs out of that. Hopefully, some of you men, young or old, have some experience with what did he say here? Did he say Riot and Matrix? Then you'll probably know how that's going to look as far as messaging. Let me scroll down to the bottom here. It says we've got the relationship lounge, discussions regarding attracting, building, and maintaining long-term relationships with both foreign and domestic women. And then there's a lifestyle lounge, discussions regarding self-improvement, health, hobbies, general travel, expat living, wardrobe, money, fitness, and anything else involving lifestyle. So if you go to that second link there and click on it, you should be able to sign up for, you need a user and a password for that community corner. So what would be different about it? Well, I tend to be on the serious side, and we want to have a serious, clean community corner. So some of the rules are things that are allowed: meeting Filipinas, foreign women with the intention of entering a relationship with them, attracting Filipinas, foreign women, aka having game, going on dates using technology to meet Filipinas, foreign women, how to maintain relationships, sexual activity while married. Things you should not discuss, however: meeting Filipinas, foreign women with the intention of sex outside of marriage, aka pumping and dumping, sexual activity with Filipinas, foreign women you're not married to, cheating on your spouse, adultery. We don't want it to be that kind of board. I'd like it to be a clean board where there is some serious interest in self-improvement, getting married, trying to be a good husband. And whether you're 25 years old or less, or 60 or 70 years old, this is just going to be a brand new message board, Love Beyond the Sea Community Corner. We'll see how it goes. If you're familiar with some other places and maybe you're a little bit disenchanted with the direction of it, perhaps you'll see the community corner here as more of a positive place. With my videos there, obviously I'm somebody that, ought to know what they're saying when it comes to dealing with, being alone for so long and having to scratch out each day thinking, is anything going to change or not? And things can change, if you don't give up. So perhaps this community corner can be a place to help people to not give up. Don't want to be talking about pay for play. We want to refrain from name calling and being condescending. This community should be about helping one another, having a relaxing place to mingle with others who share an interest in the Philippines and foreign women. We don't need profanity, racist, or sexist comments. And of course, no pornographic or obscene material of any kind, no attacking of any posters, no doxing, no spreading of rumors, no repetitive negative posting, no spamming. And how much time I'm going to have with moderating it, I don't know. Hopefully everybody will behave, and hopefully one day there's a whole lot of people that are using it, and it will become a thing, and people can have a safe place to go. And it'd be kind of neat if have a intermingling of younger men and older men who have been married, who understand how good but how difficult that is, and would be willing to share some wisdom. And I think what I'd like to do tonight is I'll stick around, and then, well, there's just a couple things I have to tidy up to get the live stream up there. But then I will go to the WordPress site, lovebeyondthesea.wordpress.com, log in there and all that stuff, and then I will see what's going on in the community corner. It may not be anybody that has signed up by then, but hopefully some have, because I can stick around and get in some conversation over there to get that going. I mean, you're starting from scratch. All you can do is talk about it, promote it, and let people know it'll be we want it to be a safe, positive, clean, affirming, confidence building place for men to go and kick around ideas about how to handle being single while you're attempting to get married. And hopefully other guys can share their experiences with looking for a Filipina, and that will be right there, those two links there at the very top. So what I was hoping to do tonight is talk to people about the difficulties of being single. As I said before, I got married at 53, and I had a doctor's appointment today, and I went to fill out the paperwork since I hadn't been there for a while. And then one of the things you have to fill out is your marital status. It'd probably been a year or so since I was there, maybe 2. And, for all those years, I'm used to checking off single, and I wanted to check off single, because for so many years it was just automatic. And I caught my hand going there, and something didn't feel right. I thought, wait a minute, I'm married. And in fact, I've been married for 4.5 years now. So things are different now. But in the description of the last video, which is a promo for this, other than Aiza's driving video in the Philippines, we talked about some things that often are, talked about by people that are single. And I do have a lot of empathy for people that are single, because, I wanted to get married, and I had trouble finding other guys who would take me seriously. At least that's the way I interpreted it. Many times I was told, well, just, you got to be content. You're not content. You want to get married so bad. That must be a bad sign. That must be a sign of immaturity. And guys, I know, and all those younger guys having an eye on my channel, I know how hard it is. And I just think it would be wrong for me to just say, well, I got mine now, and just head off in the sunset. Um, as long as I possibly can have this channel going, I want to help other guys. Now, today we can just talk about, we can talk about anything. If somebody wants to talk about something Philippines related, I'm not going to say not to. But we can talk about anything. But in particular, I was wanting to talk about things that single people have to deal with. And so I did some research here last week or so, and noticed the type of topics that you'll see in the description box later, I'm sure. For example, seeing other couples is hard on you. Just seeing other couples is hard for you. And that's something we can talk about tonight. I just want to open it up for anything that is on somebody's mind that they would like to throw out there to somebody that's live and in the flesh, somebody that cares, somebody that's struggled and hurt and labored through many years of being alone. And, it's nothing you can tell somebody, hey, just don't worry about it. It is important. There's a reason you want to get married. And that's because God put it in your heart and your mind, and I don't know if your soul, but he puts it in us to want to be matched up with somebody, a companion, a partner, somebody that we belong to for life. That's why we want to do it. I don't think it's just some social thing. I think it's a theological thing. We want to get married because God made us that way. So he's got certain ways to conduct ourselves to make that union the best, because the Bible does say troubles in the flesh. 1 Corinthians 7, you're going to have troubles in the flesh. That is believed to be my sinful tendencies rubbing up against my wife's sinful tendencies, and so we rub each other the wrong way, sparks fly, and we go in different directions sometimes. And singleness is tough. It really is. It's probably only fair for me to tell you that getting married is not easy. It's a different kind of difficulty. Like the Bible says, as sure as the sparks fly upward, man is born into adversity or for adversity. We're going to have adversity. We're going to have the troubles of the flesh in marriage. However, being married is still, in my opinion, better than being single. The difficult times that you will face, especially early on, help or can be an opportunity to grow that relationship when you learn from those mistakes. Because, when you're not married, or let's put it this way, when you are married, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to screw up and say, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? I shouldn't have said that. I don't know what got into me. Please forgive me. When you're single, it's a lot easier, to just avoid that in general, because, you don't have that person that your joint happiness depends on working through issues. And so, over time, there will be videos that I have. We'll talk about everything involved in marriage to a Filipina, but much of this can be applied to any marriage with anyone. It's just that I married a Filipina, and there are some difficulties or challenges there that maybe wouldn't be there with everyone else. So we're going to talk about the gamut. If I have this channel for 5 or 10 or 15 years, we're going to cover a lot of things that you don't hear other places, because where my heart is with the channel is to help men, don't know, whatever age they happen to be, find a wife, don't give up, consider the Philippines, consider any other country if you have to. does not have to be a Filipina. The main thing is that you do everything you possibly can to try to find a wife. Now, you may know some people in your life at work or friends or school or somewhere else or family even that are against marriage, or they just think it's a piece of paper. It's not that big a deal. And that's one perspective that's out there. But my perspective is, if it's going to work, there's certain ways you have to do things. There's certain roles for the husband and the wife, and we talk about that. I've even made a video on submission to try to clear up submission and what that is, but also what it isn't, because I know it's a dirty word out in this world, but there is a strong basis for that. We won't go into that here, but I was brave enough to do a live stream on that topic. You can always search for that, but we'll talk about all kinds of things. But I know single people, and when I was alone, you see your other couples, and what are you going to do? You go out somewhere. You don't want to stay in the house all the time and be miserable, so you go outside somewhere, or maybe you take a trip by yourself. And what happens, you see these other couples, and all of a sudden you kind of forget about what you were trying to go on that excursion for. Or maybe go to a movie by yourself. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of the house. I'm going to go to a movie. And then what happens at a movie, you may see a lot of couples. And that just makes you feel, lower and smaller. Same thing can happen at church. That's always another topic. And there's so many things that can be discussed that could go on that community corner that I want to be plugging tonight, linked up there at the top. Going to church, people can say, well, go to church to try to find a wife. Well, for whatever reason, I had a lot of trouble even finding churches that had a lot of single people. Seemed like they were either married or just didn't go, or went somewhere else. Maybe they were in their 20s and college age, and I was too old for the so-called college and career that you may be familiar with. But I did that for a while until I got older, and it was just like a desert. And going to church, and seeing somebody sit down right in front of you, put their arm around their spouse, it's like, forget it. There was a time or two I just left the service early, not because it was a bad sermon, but because I wasn't getting anything out of it, because I was so distracted by the people, couples that were there. It might have been somebody I knew or somebody I didn't, but it was still tough. And then there were times when I walked up to the door of the church after parking and walking a few blocks, and then it hit me, just like getting punched right in the face. And I knew if I wanted to be depressed for the next 3 or 4 days, I can go inside, and that's probably what would happen. So it was really getting really bad. So I just head right back, try to lick my wounds, and come back and fight another day. So I know that going places can be very, very difficult if you're honest about that. When your friends have a girlfriend, or even worse, if they get married, that's difficult too, because I don't know, they might want you to do something together. It's kind of a group, and then you'll feel like that, fifth wheel, and it'll just be very uncomfortable. And I got to the point where the friends that I had when I was single just stopped answering the phone. I mean, once they found somebody, they pretty much were absorbed in that relationship, and part of that's understandable. Although, if you're a friend of somebody, you kind of feel like, well, that's a little unfair when you just act like I don't exist anymore because well, now you found somebody. Well, that's probably going to happen. Let me know if that was your experience. Even worse if they get married. It's just like, wow. So contentment can be an issue with being single. Um, Something that can be talked about. How do you try to become content? Is there something you actually can do to be content? Um, the one thing that I can't honestly say I was content. I mean, you hear a lot of cliches. One of them is something like, um, until you're perfectly content to be single the rest of your life and all that that involves, well, then you're not ready to get married. Well, that's actually another cliche there at that back end of that one. But until you're content to be alone the rest of your life, single, no sex, companionship, you know, chance to be a father and so on, well, then you're just not ready to be married. Well, that's just not true. Contentment is going to be something we're all going to be dealing with throughout our lives. I've had this knee surgery. It was a knee replacement. It's a pretty rough procedure. I've been home for 5 weeks now. Today I find out it was confirmed I do have nerve damage in my lower leg, which is why my foot hurts, which is why it's hard to sit and hard to sleep. So it's hard to be content, and at some point we're going to be hit with adversity of relational adversity or some other kind of ad, um, uh, adversity, and so it's just something we're going to go in and out of contentment, I guess. The Apostle Paul talked about learning to be content, and if you look at the things the Apostle Paul had to live through, suffer through, to be able to be content, I think most of us would rather die. It was tough, but he did learn to be content. And I would never have said, yes, folks, I've learned to be perfectly content because so now I'm ready to be married. Because to me, let me know what you think, but I thought if you reach a point when you're content and you feel like, well, you know what, I don't really need a wife, I don't need the companionship, I don't need to give or receive the intimacy, I don't need the partnership, I don't need the bonding, I don't need somebody there with me to go through life's ups and downs, and have somebody be there at the end of my life. Well, if you can say that, to me, it's not a matter of being content, it's a matter of having the gift of singleness. Another controversial thing there, the gift of singleness, I believe with all my heart, from all the study I've done over the decades, is the gift of singleness is the divine ability to live single for your whole life. You can be single. That's the gift of singleness. And it's very rare. The way the Bible would talk about it is it's very rare to have the gift of singleness, because that means you don't need sex. It doesn't frustrate you. If you never get it, so what? You're fine. You don't need it. Well, that is an extremely small percentage of people. In fact, it's so rare, that gift of singleness, it's given by the Holy Spirit to very few people, like the Apostle Paul. At his conversion, he was given many gifts, and one of them was the gift of singleness. And that's a spiritual gift. You don't choose the gift of singleness. You can choose to battle being single the best you can and have friends to talk to, a message board like the one I'm talking about there, the community corner. But it's going to be difficult. Why? Because you don't have the gift for it. I could go out, try to play the piano or some other instrument, and I could practice till my fingers bled. But if I don't have a gift for it, if I don't have the ability to do that, not going to happen. Not going to be able to be a concert pianist or something. You have to have the calling, the ability. And to be single, you need a special gift, because the default position in life is I got to have a wife. I want the companionship, I want the sex, I want all of that stuff. I don't want to be alone. That's okay. Don't feel guilty. You're the norm. There aren't many people that have the gift of singleness. I've only known one in my entire life that would admit to being able to live without marriage, i.e., sexual intimacy. Thank you for the thumbs up. Um, Many can relate, Walt. Yeah, younger, older. I mean, being alone is tough. JBud 5000, welcome tonight. If financially helping the family is such a big part, isn't having two Panay girlfriends and helping out two families much more generous than to selfishly marry one? Well, it would be generous. The problem is with any dating relationship, it only goes so far. I mean, biblically anyway, Bud, it only goes so far. The good stuff comes in marriage, and some of the difficulties also come with that in marriage. And so, so people can try to understand where I'm coming from. I don't care about my own opinions. My opinions don't mean anything to anybody. I mean, I'm just trying to follow something that, that is biblical, where we can open up a book and say, okay, this is divinely inspired, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I'll just throw this out there. There are no contradictions in the Bible, absolutely none. They can all be explained, because if there was only one contradiction in the Bible, then there would be no divine word of God. And so there really is none when you really get into it. It is a big part, but when you're helping a family, you want something in return. I help my wife's family. I've been there, 3 times now, and we want to go back. She's going to return on Saturday night, and then we're going to go back in 5 weeks together. And I want to meet the family again. I want them to become more familiar with me, especially the children, because they're my family too. And we always had very, very small family here. So the thing about that is, it's just a reality. You're going to have to help that family, or she's going to have to. But even if she provided everything, always 100% for her family, you would do well to show her that you care about that family, because while she will marry a foreigner for financial stability and help for her family, absolutely, that's I think the main, not the only, the main driving force there. And I think a person has to just understand that, especially if you go anywhere overseas and you marry a woman that's from a poor country. Don't take it personally. But yeah, she's going to be looking, as you would too, to help yourself out if you were in her shoes. So Bud, I don't think you're totally serious here, but you can help out 10 families if you want. But then if you're not getting married, then the way I talk about it and see it, and the way I try to live is, you wouldn't be getting the good stuff either. So yeah, I appreciate the comment, but living without the sex is a killer. And I know from looking at, and I used to do this when I was single. I'd look at singles boards, and it was tough to find encouragement there. A lot of complaining. I understand that. I did a lot of complaining myself. In fact, I was probably one of the more unbearable ones, because I'm intense, and I want to accomplish the goal, and I want to do it like now. And you start putting in the work, and you don't see the results, and it's like, well, what's going on here? But contentment, I don't think you have to worry if you don't have to reach a stage of perfect contentment. I mean, does anybody want to chime in about contentment, how content you were when you were still single before you met your Filipina, or anybody kind of lurking here that hasn't commented, please do. I want to see people, new people here, because a lot of the people, that come here to live streams are married, which is great. But I'm trying to deal with the 18 to 24 not target, but age range that says that's who watches my videos, 18 through 24. You know, so I believe that. I don't believe it's 100% like the YouTube analytics have said for 3 months, but I do want to try to reach out and help those younger guys. Who knows? They could end up becoming suicidal, end up, using drugs or whatever, just lousing up their life by not applying themselves because, we live in or do we still live in a couple's world? I remember when I was growing up, uh, lamenting being alone. I said, it's a couple's world, and it's not I just don't feel like you belong in it. Um, well, if you're discontent, I don't think that's a bad sign. Yes, the mark of a spiritually mature person is we are content in everything, no matter what. But that takes a lot of growth and trial and pain and trust and maturity. And part of what will help you be more mature is to get married. It does. It's a great opportunity for growth. So if somebody is discontent and people are telling them, well, that's the reason you're not married. That's the reason God hasn't given you anybody. That's the reason you're still alone, because you're not relying on God only and you're content. So you have a bad attitude. So you're not ready to be married. And that's just people talking. Okay. I don't want to be somebody talking. I want to feel like I can back up what I'm saying. I want to help guys be able to find a wife. And so I'll just kind of put myself out there. I mean, I'm no expert, but guys need some guidance, and I want to have a safe, clean message board, community corner, I'm calling it, where people can sign up, and hopefully over time, there's a lot of people there. That's what I'd like to see. Let me close this out. Being single and dating can be frustrating and disappointing. Some are better than others at navigating the dating scene. And I appreciate the comment, Jay, but I wasn't very good at navigating the dating scene because I hardly could get any dates. In fact, I don't know, the last couple might have been more of a blind date type situation. I mean, it's tough. I started looking for a wife before the internet. So you would go to a what do you call them, a matchmaking dating service, and you'd have the women would come in, they take their picture, put their picture on there, one photo and one page of some get to know you, questions. That's it. Today, with what you've got going on with online dating, it is so far more sophisticated than that. And I just never could seem to find what I was looking for. Some people can do it better. I mean, Jay Bud, is it the wealthier, better looking guys that can handle this better, navigating the dating scene? Young guys are saying, well, the women only want the top, 10 or 20%. And I can't compete with that. A lot of guys, especially just average Joes, nice guys, younger guys, don't seem to think they can get a break. So part of the message board community, guys can talk about what does work, for self-improvement, and what does work to be positive about finding someone. I've also learned about the dating scene for Pinays in the Philippines can be tough for them. Many Filipino men aren't serious about marriage and want to play the field. That's true. That's would be corroborated, Jay Bud, with what I've heard. And so, the Filipina, Panay, younger woman from the Philippines, she's in her situation. I mean, younger guys here in the States, in the West, will say, well, if she's under 30, she doesn't even want to get married. Okay, that's what they say in the West. Filipinas, other women in Asia, it's a lot different. They don't want to get to 30 because then they feel like they're untouchable, or they're invisible, they're unwanted. because they're too old, believe it or not. So, a woman that's 22, 24 years old in the Philippines, my goodness, she wants to get married. And, her first choice, my guess, if she thought about it, would be somebody about her own age. And part of what Jay Bud said there is why they can't find anyone, because a lot of the guys their own age there are not very, very devoted. So, in her situation, well, she doesn't want to be alone. She wants to be loved and cherished and cared for. She wants to have somebody that's going to be faithful to her. So, um, while she has her youth and her looks, she can market herself, so to speak, on a dating site. And there's lots of Panays with good character. They're not affected by the West and feminism. They will marry a guy that's 20 to 30 years older, and or more, and they want to be cherished. They want to be taken care of and respected, and they can make great wives. So I think it's totally appropriate that younger guys, older guys, you know, look, give the Philippines a chance. There's a lot of channels out there that give you some information about the Philippines, and there's some relationship advice channels too. Mine tends to be all about marriage, hence this very first word, love. It's not talking about life or lust or anything else. It's just love. I could have called it marriage, I suppose, because we didn't date. We got married really fast, and now it's all about responsibility to her and to each other and working things out. And it's a good experience. Um, but yeah, a lot of Panays, they're looking. They're not going to go out and necessarily approach somebody or a Westerner, but they're very, very open to you approaching them. Hank Hilliam, welcome, Hank, is what all the Panay say to lure in simp foreigners. But there is truth to that, because a lot of and I'm not saying this because it's my opinion, it's just what I've been told personally. And yeah, I know, Hank, you're going to say, well, that's what they're telling you, but no, there's a lot of lack of seriousness and unfaithfulness. I'm not going to lump all Pinoys in the same category, but there is a certain stereotype or reputation of not being serious. Maybe they get somebody pregnant and then they disappear. And that's just a terrible thing to say about anybody anywhere in any country. But there is some truth to that. And there are Filipinas that will tell you that because they're honest. And I've heard it so many times. I have to think that there's regrettably a lot of truth to what Jay Bud said there. Yeah, men in general play the field regardless of location. That's true, Hank. And there's a lot of guys that aren't interested in playing the field, and they're looking for a wife. And so, those kind of guys, I want to just raise the possibility of finding a wife in the Philippines. And so, they can see what our relationship is kind of like by going, to my channel or the WordPress.com site. When Aiza gets back, she'll have more videos, but she's been away for 3 weeks, feels like 9 months. But that's Mr. E, again, built that himself with his own bare hands. Put all my videos up there with like text, because I save them, and they're in article form. He put them all up there and designed this site and Aiza's channel, Facebook, YouTube, and now the community corner. And I'll stick around tonight to see how that goes. I mean, it's brand new. It's like a showroom right now. Paint is still wet. Has that paint smell in it that smells so good. But eventually, we want people to go to Love Beyond the Sea Community Corner, talk about relationships. As I said, there's a lifestyle lounge and a relationship lounge, and Mr. E worked his butt off the last few days to put that together. I'm just very grateful that I have someone to collaborate with who cares about the things that I'm trying to say, and that's to help people, even younger guys, find love beyond the sea. So, my gosh, I mean, he's helped me so much. I've always wanted to have something like that, but I don't have the time or capability, knowledge, expertise to put something together like he did. I'm very proud of what he's done. I'm very proud of him for his help. So I got to believe there's lots of other people out there that also want to see men, even younger men, hear the type of things I'm talking about. But playing the field, I think, is just not going to work out. There's lots of burned out older guys have been, playing the field, and they're saying now 40, 45, 50 years old, they have nothing. They've not invested in someone, and they thought that playing the field was going to be a good idea. At the time, it sounded like a good idea. Many of them will tell you, and I've seen it on message boards myself, that it was not worth it, and they kind of wish they hadn't done that. JBud 5000, appreciate you being here on this chilly Thursday night where I am here in the Midwest United States. Americans need to learn there is no divorce in the Philippines. I think some guys getting married, like going to Vegas, Vegas mentality, don't actually realize that they can't just file for divorce and move on. And one of only two places, I guess, here that have no divorce, and Vatican and Rome, the Philippines, large Catholic influence in the Philippines. They say 80% Catholic in the Philippines, but I'm not Catholic myself, so I set my filter for Protestant, and I was able to find a Protestant Filipino, and they call them born again, by the way. If you hear the term born again in the Philippines, that means non-Catholic. But part of that influence is the no divorce. And so, that's a interesting thing, which is when I married Aiza, I wanted to go somewhere with no divorce because I hoped that I would be marrying a woman that would be committed to the relationship and not want to get a divorce. But Americans, the Filipinos, also don't realize how common and easy it is to get a divorce here in America. They don't. And because they don't realize that, they don't realize the pain and suffering that many men have gone through because they have been divorced. And so the Filipinos kind of need to be educated on how things are in the West. Guys in the West need to realize, there's no divorce in the Philippines. And I thought that was a selling point to me, anyway. Phil's to Phoenix, not entirely true. The foreigner can file for divorce in their home country, but not the Filipino. And the Philippines will recognize it as legal. So the Filipina, the woman from the Philippines, I think you're right, John. That's what I've heard. The foreigner can go back to the West and file for divorce, but not the Filipina. And the Philippines will recognize it as legal. But then, John, that kind of puts her in a bad state of affairs because now she can't divorce. she's still married and her husband isn't. That sounds like a bad deal. Adultery can get you arrested in the Philippines, and not only arrested, Jay Bud, but packed in a sweaty Philippine jail cell for a long, long time. And well, people all about the Philippines. I saw a video from him today about getting that Senemar checked, which would be certificate of no marriage, which would show you whether the woman that you're interested in is married. It's something you need to do when you get married. So I think he's suggesting you get it earlier. But I think there's some important information that only she can give you to help get that document. It's not expensive, but there's certain names, to make sure they're talking about the right person, and probably can only get them from the Filipina. So she might object to you doing that, which would be a red flag if she says, no, I'm not going to give you this information so you can get a Senemar. You just have to trust me. I don't know why a woman would do that. I mean, if she's likes the guy she's talking to, then by all means, provide him that information. He's coming. Well, he doesn't want to go out and be with somebody that that's already married to somebody else. It's not worth investing the time and energy into. Phil's Phoenix IT Cindy about ratting us out. The Philippines government, now she can't divorce, but I could. Well, that's a strange dynamic there, but I think it is true. Get a Senemar, you can order it online and even have it sent to the USA. I think you need some personal information though, Michael, if I'm not mistaken, that she would have to give you, unless you already know it. But that may not be the case. Like, I don't know, maybe where she was born, or her full name, or her parents' name, something like that. I'm not sure what all goes on there. Well, John, I'm glad you're there for a while tonight. Wanted to talk about singleness, not because a lot of the guys that watch this are married, but because there's a lot of guys that aren't, because they're probably Western men, 18 to 24 years of age. Amazingly, so there's some intrigue in my channel. I think I know where it's coming from, and so I wanted to let them know through a live stream tonight. If they dare, they can always watch, but if they dare to comment, I'm here. Want them to go to the WordPress community listed at the top of the live chat log here. They can log in and get that community going, and I can spend some time tonight before going to bed with that, because I hasn't been anybody to talk to, because we just opened it up. That's why I'm talking about that tonight. You do need some personal info, like her parents' name. You might not know that right away, but it's a good idea to find this beforehand. Yes, it is. Now, this is my wife. I have to tell her I am occupied. Hi, sweetheart. I'm doing a live stream right now, hon.
Okay.
Is that okay? This is my lovely wife.
Hello.
Can
Okay.
okay, sweetheart. You
All right. Talk to you later.
okay?
Love you.
Bye, my love. I love you too.
Bye.
Okay, so get back to the questions here. Aiza is packing. She's going to leave at 7 a.m. my time tomorrow morning. Well, hold it. That's when her flight will leave Davao at 9 a.m. in the morning my time. Okay, so I don't even know if I'll be up at 9 o'clock. It depends on how late I'll stay up. But that plane takes off at 9 a.m. here in the United States on Friday morning. She won't be getting here until 7:10 in the evening on Saturday. So that's a long flights, 4 of them. Seems like she's been gone for 9 months. I can't wait to have her back. So some things single people talk about, they are hurting. I know they're hurting. There's no question about that. Just look at Reddit sites, and single guys are hurting. Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. You can talk about your hurt here tonight. You can talk about it if you're more inclined on the Love Beyond the Sea community corner that Mr. E has put together. And because if you're hurting, that's totally normal. How do you cope? I tried by going to the gym. And of course, anytime you go anywhere and there's couples around, especially attractive women that aren't interested in you, well, that can make that attempt at trying to cope kind of backfire. Born again Panais are much more religious than the Catholic Panais. And you may be right. I wanted a Protestant, so-called, they call, say, like, born again. And, whoever you're marrying, you need to be serious about your beliefs. Because if you're a Catholic looking for a Catholic, or Seventh-day Adventist, and I don't know that mixing works very well, but you want to look for someone in the same denomination, because marriage has enough difficulties in and of itself. So I wouldn't go mixing religions. No reason for me to get mad. I'm not disagreeing with you, and I don't want to get into denominational stereotypes and stuff like that. There can be a person in any denomination that doesn't practice what they preach, and there are some that are. So no reason for me to get mad. I guess my point would be, if you're serious about certain things, then those are the things you need to talk about when you are dating someone online. If that's an important element to you, then that's going to be a big feature of your marriage, and it can help tear it apart if you're not seeing eye to eye. And I agree, guys, it's a good thing to talk about. Anything is a good thing to talk about. I mean, a lot of guys say, well, I'm not in a hurry, and we're so far away. Well, great. You can't really waste a whole lot of time together doing nothing, so you almost have to talk. So you might as well talk about things that you need in a spouse, because she'll want to be married. And if you have expectations of any kind, and I'm sure you do, she has expectations of her own, now's the time, from 5, 6, 7, 8,000 miles apart, to talk about those deal breakers, the must-haves. Those things need to be talked about. Now, in in Western dating sites, you may not even get that far, but it's different with a Filipina. They want to get married. That's my impression. That's why they're on there. Of course, you have to watch out for scammers, and some sites are more known for scammers than others. A lot of these dating sites, they don't have thousands of people on staff, and so they simply can't catch everybody. They just can't. It doesn't work that way. That's why each person is responsible to have a level head and not get addicted to giving money. That was kind of topic in one of my recent videos, because it feels so good to help out, and instantly you might feel a sense of responsibility that you really shouldn't have to that Filipina, because you gave her some money, made you feel good, helped her out, and then you want to do it again and help out even more than you did before, which could be a bad idea if you have not met yet. They will say, I'm Roman Catholic, and what are you? If you're not, some become distant or ask if you're going to become one. And that's certainly appropriate for her if she's Roman Catholic or any other denomination to say that's what she's looking for. Yeah, their family will not be happy if you're not. I can believe that because I can believe that anywhere that their family would not be happy. So that brings up the question family acceptance, whether it's over your religious denomination or your age or something else. If the family is against it for whatever reason, in my opinion, you have to respect that. In fact, I would say that here, if it was her family lived 5 miles away, if they didn't respect, if they didn't want her marrying you, then I think I would say I would respect that. Big Rob, hey, my friend, good to see you here. And Big Rob, I just posed the question if you didn't catch it. What if a man is talking to a Filipina and her family, because of his religious background, because of something else in his life, Big Rob, they say, no, I don't want you dating this guy. In my opinion, Big Rob, the guy should consider moving on if the family, for whatever reason, understandable or not, is against the relationship. There's other Filipinas out there. I think he should just move on. So, Big Rob, anyone else? I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about that. Walt Tolander, are they trying to pass a law now in the Philippines to allow divorce? I just heard that yesterday, and they meaning somebody, there's some movement to do that, and it has been for a while. And I hope that does not happen. Big Rob, why? Because of what I see here where I live now in this country, and the chaos and ruin that has caused to individuals, to couples, to societies, to lives. That did not work out well. Big Rob, I think singleness is so hard for the most part. You actually miss those moments of being with someone. Yeah, just like I miss my wife. She's been gone for 3 weeks, and I'll tell you what, it seems like 9 months. It seems like when we get home and cuddle up, I'm going to have to kind of get reacquainted with her because it feels like a long time since I've seen her. I had someone discuss that with me at lunch. Cut his losses. Otherwise, his relationship will suffer greatly. Yeah, that's how I feel, Big Rob. I mean, I actually, I asked. Aiza said that no, there's no real tradition here or expectation that you talk to my father and ask him for his permission. Well, I thought, number one, I'm 27 years older. Her father's never met me. I just met his daughter very, few number of weeks ago. So probably about a month after I met her, I'm asking her. I mean, I proposed to her first, I'm sure. That was on day 18. And then shortly after that, I'm talking to her father, which ended up being the whole family. So I'm looking at the whole family on Skype. Aiza walks off to the side. I've got a few notes, of what I wanted to say. And so basically I told him, I think what I told my wife, fiance at the time, what I thought about his daughter and how I wanted to be good to his daughter. I thought very highly of her, and I wanted to love her. I wanted to be good to her. I've enjoyed knowing her. I know it was fast, but I would like to marry her, and I would like your permission, sir, if I could marry your daughter. And he gave me his blessing, and some of the other family, the brothers, were asking some questions, and look, what if even one of the brothers, what if we had a fight ensue, an argument because one of the other brothers or sisters And then I would be able to tell if that happened. Oh, there's a little dissension here. I don't know what that's all about, but that's not a good thing. But I feel the way you do, Big Rob. I think you're smart to get the family's buy-in. I don't think there's any point in just kind of forcing your way in there and saying, well, we're going to get married because you want to marry me and I want to marry you. We've talked a lot, of course, about the importance of family in the Philippines. So to me, it just makes sense. You would want them on board with your relationship. And Big Rob, I know from watching your channel, you've went through a long time being alone. I mentioned here in the top, and I'll put it somewhere else, but way up at the top, the live chat. I'm trying to start a community. Um, it's like a message board. Love Beyond the Sea community. People can go there. I'll always have the link around and click on that second link and sign up, user name, password, and visit one of those two lounges and start talking. I hope it's a place people can go and have serious discussion about getting married, being single, and so on like that. And so that's one of the reasons I'm talking about singleness so much tonight. And Big Rob is on his way to get unsingle to a Filipina. It wasn't by choice. I mean, it usually isn't. And if it is by choice, it usually comes down to two extremes. Number one is playing the field, and number two is having the spiritual ability of not having to be married. In other words, don't need sexual intimacy. That's what it comes down to biblically. You don't need sex, you don't need marriage. It's that simple. Failure of the dating world in America. Well, that's one of the topics singles talk about a lot, and we could talk about on the message board. What about being a virgin? I know that's a frustrating thing, because when you are a virgin, I mean, it's almost like it's just all consuming thought of doing something about that. All consuming. That's all you think about, and your self-worth, everything comes down to the fact that you're not, sexually active. Well, and friends, when they talk about being sexually active, a lot of them haven't really learned how to be good lovers, and so their girlfriends may have different opinion on their prowess. But yeah, there's nothing better than being able to have intercourse with your wife. Nothing better. And it's tough. It's tough. It's just hard, I think, because it's unnatural. It doesn't mean your mind is in the gutter. It doesn't mean you just need to focus on other things, because wherever you go, whatever you try to do, you're still going to want to be married anyway. Many men give up dating in America. Well, and giving up means not getting married. And somebody 25 can give up. 35, 45, 55, 60 can give up. And the longer they've been alone, probably the easier it is to convince themselves to go ahead and give up. I didn't give up, and it had been so long, I didn't give up. Why? Why didn't I give up and say, well, I guess everybody's right. I must have a bad attitude. I want to get married too bad. People, it must exude some kind of desperation on my part, or maybe I just don't have it, or whatever it is. And so I tried international dating, and 54 days later, after I winked at my wife, we were married, and we've been married for now 4.5 years, which is incredible to me. For something I thought would never happen, couldn't conceive it. Just hoped that God could do something like that. Seemingly a miracle. Now I've been married 4.5 years. That's just amazing. So look, I don't want anybody else to give up. So my channel, this Mr. E's community corner, we want to help other people to not give up as well. Yeah, buyer's remorse in marriage sucks. Don't just marry the first girl that pays attention to you. Common sense is important. And Jay Bud is absolutely correct about that. And you're going to have a lot of interest. Guys coming from the West may say they had no interest, even on multiple dating sites like I did. No interest. You can send out all the, uh, you know, introductory things that they have on the different sites to try to let somebody know you're interested in them. You might even get somebody say they're interested back, but to actually end up talking to them is one thing, and meeting them is another. I had two when they weren't, oh, I don't know, maybe they're 4 or 5 hours away. I was willing to do that. We never did get together and meet. I don't know. I just got ghosted by the one when I got serious. And the other one, turns out the kind of goes back to the religion thing. We're the same denomination. They just had some spiritual influence that I didn't think was a good idea once I did some research online about the men in her life that were her spiritual leaders. So risking it all, I said something about that. And we weren't able to talk about it. And that was that. Those doors closed, another one opened up, and I ended up getting married. So there will be options, as Jay Budd alludes to in the Philippines, options that guys here cannot even conceive of if they have not gone online looking for a Filipina. Options are great, but it makes it hard to decide, actually. But yes, you want to find one good one, just one good one. And I tend to recommend focusing on one. If it doesn't work out, you'll know that sooner than later, and so you can move on and try to find somebody else versus kind of communicating with 4 or 5 at once. That was my plan originally, but I can see where that might not be a good idea too. Common sense is important. That's why I think it helps to talk about your situation with people you trust, because the euphoria over talking to a Filipina can make you lose your common sense. So difficult to find someone the same level as you are. And Big Rob, you found somebody. Um, and after putting in your time, so to speak, in the West, just like I did. And I'm glad you were able to step out of what I assume is your comfort zone and try to find somebody internationally. Jay Budd, I've watched matches made in heaven. Couples end up divorced, and I've watched couples who I thought were crazy to get married are still married. Go figure. Well, I guess the answer there, Jay Budd, is as I try to keep this pillow on this chair, the answer there is somebody, they must be doing something right. I mean, from all outward appearances, that's one thing. But when they're together and they're going through their differences, somehow they're doing something right. And they're able to overcome what looks like on the outside is something that's incongruent. They're not a good match, and they work it out. I mean, I guess you can distill it to some real basic things here, and that's be good to her, be devoted to her, recognize the cultural importance of the family, don't hinder her supporting that family. That's probably the worst thing you can do. If she wants to work, unless you can afford it all for her family, let her work. She will appreciate that. She'll want to feel independent anyway, because she's a person. Don't control her. Be respectful to her. Try not to raise your voice. Um, pray with her, pray for her. Be patient. Be patient, and then be more patient. Person can do that, then I think they can be married to someone like an age gap, like many people's, and could have generation gaps. That's okay. I mean, commonality is good. You can develop some commonality too. Um, but what works? I mean, that's something else to talk about uh, on the Love Beyond the Sea message board. Is talk about the community corner. Talk about what works, what you've seen work. But yeah, I would like to get that message board going. It's at the top of the comments section here. Um, Singleness is hard. I just don't see the point in just saying, well, buddy, pat him on the shoulder and say things will be all right. Well, things probably won't be all right if you don't go out and actively do something to that you haven't done before, and maybe make some improvements to yourself. um, I think that's important. And yeah, I mean, sometimes people, Jay Bud, they seem like they'd be just fine, but there's something about their relationship that is not working out. And maybe they're the only ones that know why it didn't work out. Now, if you have the ability to be around some of these couples, which is hard to do, but if you would see them interact a lot, you'd probably be able to pick up some signs that would help show why, despite appearances, they seem to be doing okay. Um, Overanalyzing dating was something I threw out there, and I would hope that people would want to talk about. I have no idea how tonight is going to go. We can talk about, like I said, we can talk about Filipinas, no question about that. It's what my channel was made for, is help men find Filipinas. I would like to draw some of these younger guys out though, and at least get them to the community corner, get them commenting on videos, so they don't end up being 40 and 50 and completely throwing in the towel. Being single for a lot of guys is tough because people ask you after you're 30 if you're gay, and people always ask why you aren't married yet. Well, and even if they don't ask you if you're gay, you're thinking that they're thinking, is there something wrong with this guy? I'm glad you said that, Jay Bud, because it wasn't something I jotted down in my thoughts. But I remember feeling that, thinking that anyway. It's like, what do these people think of me? Do they think I'm gay? Do they think I'm selfish? Do they think I'm self-absorbed? I only care about myself, and I don't care about anybody else. Do they think I don't want intimacy? Do they think I don't need companionship? What do they think of me? Well, having said that, it helps to not think about what people are thinking about you. And this is what I think helped push me through. And that's because I cared what God thought of me. And I thought that God's word said I needed to be married. I couldn't figure it out. So why would I want to die knowing I full well need to be married? I couldn't figure out why. What do I got to do? Well, all I had to do was go try an international woman who was wanting to get married, willing to marry me. We've been married 4.5 years. That's all I had to do. Could it have happened sooner? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, because that's not the way it worked. But for wanting to be married, if you had talked to me in 1988, and I would have said, look, I've been looking for a few years. I think I might have missed my shot here. Can't find anybody. Now, yeah, my wife wasn't born yet, so that would be a really good reason to tell people why I didn't get married here. Well, she wasn't born yet, and she was going to get born 9,800 flight miles away. And boy, did I have to wait. Now it's all worth it, of course. But why not let other people know, young or old, hey, you can find someone in the Philippines, or some other country. It's just the Philippines. It's an English-speaking place often, and if you speak English, that's a good option for you. Now, let's see here. It can be easy to overanalyze dating. That can be a problem. You go out on a date and you analyze every little detail. Why didn't it work? And you may not even get to hear from the other person why it didn't work. It's easy to think that your self-esteem is going to go down because it just didn't work, and you keep thinking it must have been me, it must have been something I did, it must have been something I'm always doing. Michael and Heidi, when you take two sinners and slam them together, why would you think you would work out in your own strength without faith that is fleeting? And I agree. I have enough faith to realize that when there's, situations I can't do anything about, that the same God that brought us together for a reason, and I just have to control what I can control, and let Him help me to be the type of person that that she needs me to be, and then I think we'll be all right. Big Rob, I stepped out on faith, but it only happened after I realized that American life wasn't for me. After looking back, I realized that God had everything set. Sometimes, Big Rob, you don't know those things when you're in the heat of the battle, so to speak. And it's nice to be able to look back with perspective and say, wow, now I can see why things are this way. And I'm glad I didn't screw up somehow, or I'm glad I didn't give up somehow. But overanalyzing dating, the community corner, we can talk about dating. Anybody, talk about your dating experiences, and just want it to be a safe place and a clean place. And hopefully that place, since it's on my blog, where, people can, at the same time they can post there, they're in a territory where it's about marriage and the hope that they can still get married. So hopefully in time, there are younger guys who tend to be the ones on these message boards. Come on over to the newly minted Love Beyond the Sea community corner, compliments of Mr. E, and let's start using that message board. What are your thoughts on online dating? That's something that many of us here know all about. The need, pretty much, for online dating to meet someone. That's very common nowadays. But online dating has driven a lot of people crazy, and they feel like there's no point in it. Tinder and all these other apps are worthless, they say, and the women aren't really interested in you. They're only interested in attention. They're only interested in the top 10, 20% guys. They're not going to give Mr. Nice Guy a chance. You got to be so tall, have so much money, or you don't have a chance. And as far as dating in the Philippines, it's different. If you feel like you're not getting a fair shake in the West, a lot of that is not going to be the case in the Philippines. With a Filipino, I don't think they're nearly as picky as you would see in the West. Topics for self-improvement. I mean, you want to have a good attitude if you're single. You want to keep looking. You want to take care of your appearance. That's important. I mean, Aiza has kind of helped take care of my appearance, but I haven't always had short hair or liked short hair. But she's kind of changed how I look to suit her, which is perfectly fine, because I think women have a better idea of what looks good on us than we do. I mean, a lot of us guys are very, we like our hair a certain way or our clothes a certain way, and well, just get married and find out that some of your wardrobe might be changing and some other things might be changing too. When I was overseas, most women will approach the guys. It's not how it is in America. They're very easy to talk to. Well, yeah, I'm sure it is more common there when you're there in person. Online, I would think that the Filipinas, what they would tend to do is they might send you a wink or something to indicate they're interested, but they really would like to see the guy take it from there. In person, maybe the city girls are more likely to initiate some kind of conversation, whereas in the province, that's probably less likely generally. When your friends brag about having sex, that's, I'm sure, uh, drive you crazy, a single person? Do you feel you need to be in a relationship, or do you feel you want to be in a relationship? Um, I felt like I needed a relationship. I mean, I can understand wanting one, but then why do you want one? Um, I actually felt like I needed one. If I felt like I just wanted one, I might have given up. But since I felt like I needed one, I was going to do something that was just unbelievable, and that's go to another country. I mean, I can't believe that. I never would have wrote down a piece of paper. Well, here's my option. I could try somebody in another country. Never would have thought of that. It came from sheer desperation, and like they say, what necessity is the mother of all invention. So I had to do something. So I was willing to try overseas. Pornography, that's something I think does not help whatsoever when somebody is single. Bitterness, yeah, bitterness can be a real problem with being single, especially when that bitterness is directed to God, because you figure, well, God can give me a wife. He controls everything. He could give me a wife. Why doesn't he give me a wife? And women could say the same thing. That being single a long time can test your faith. I know it is. I know it does. But same token, I have done some videos on Bible verses that actually help get me through this difficult times. Times when you're thinking about life is hopeless. Should you just kill yourself? What's going on here? And I had my many verses to help keep me from totally going off the rails. Um, I just had to. I had to get married, so I had to maintain a good attitude as good as I could and keep looking, and it worked out. Where is some of the best place to meet someone in real life? If online dating isn't going to work, where does a guy go to meet somebody in real life? Do you feel the dating process is enjoyable or frustrating? Some of mine was not enjoyable because the people I was with weren't really talkative, and well, if the conversation isn't good, then I don't know. That's not good. Um, what should be the goal in dating? That's an interesting question. Some people say, "Oh, friendship. Don't take it too seriously." Others say the goal should be getting married. Period. End of discussion. So there's a lot of difference there between those two. Um, do women have expectations that are too high? I know a lot of people think that they do. They I think, yeah, in general, they're probably more picky, and the more there should be some must-haves, some that you just have to have. But to have a lot of must-haves and getting picky is going to make it really hard, to end up finding someone. There's really no right answer as far as where to meet that special someone. Um, it's a big world out there. Other people are meeting people from other countries. Yeah, social media, family member, that's a way to do it. Boots on the ground in the Philippines. Um, it's easy to get in the mindset of, well, she's got to be nearby, or I'll meet her at work, or I'll meet her at church. And while that may have been the case at one time, it seems to not be as easy these days. So, trying an online dating site is what many of us have had to do. Do you think men's expectations are too high? I think men tend to be less picky, but we also tend, I think, to put a high emphasis on physical attraction. Um, no big surprise there. Thanks, Walt, and yes, congratulations, Big Rob, on identifying The Mrs. Big Rob that we can watch on Big Rob's channel. He's going to be documenting his efforts in uh, overseas. Now, Big Rob's fiance is not in the Philippines. I did see your ring, Big Rob, and that's a very nice looking ring. Again, I'll say I'm sure she will really appreciate that. Um, but the physical attraction thing, of course, I hope we realize that, you know, that younger woman is her looks are gonna change too, and that can change, with pregnancy and age. That's going to happen. I think if I lived 20 years, but which would be about the length of time they say this knee is going to last, so I sure hope for more than that. Um, I'm always going to look at my wife fondly because she married me when nobody else, it was so difficult to get the time of day. This little woman married me. So I greatly appreciate that. I will look at her over the 25, however long we can squeeze out of marriage and say, yeah, this is the woman I kind of started my life over with. This is the woman that gave me a chance, Big Rob. I'm sure you have similar thoughts. I'm always going to respect her and love her for that. And when things are tough, I'm going to realize, this is my wife, and she's done so much to help me, in these 4.5 years of marriage that I have a lot to look back on and a lot to be thankful for with my amazing Aiza. So physical attraction, yeah, it's important. The thing is, finding a Filipina that you're attractive to is easy because they're so beautiful. Yeah, Big Rob, I have yes, even said that, and thank God for her. Um, Marriage is a great thing, and I mean, it would be best if you could. I think look, I think the earlier you get married in life, the better. Again, this is just an opinion. If you can get married at 18 or 20, get married at 18 or 20. Why waste 2 or 3 or 4 years being unmarried? I just think the drive has to be, well, at least for me, was to get married. And a lot of times I'm out there saying things to people that I thought would understand where I'm coming from, and they didn't seem to. It's like, why doesn't Bob shut up? All he talks about is wanting to get married and stuff like that. Well, because I needed to get married. And I did get married, and I've been married 4.5 years, and I can hardly believe it. So, I don't want people to give up. I think marriage is great. I mean, that's what I want to say in my channel. Get married young. I mean, yeah, they're young and immature. Well, great. So what? Be young and immature as a married couple. It doesn't matter if you get married at 30 or 40 or 50. Each of us has their own immaturity that's going to cause friction. So anyway, I don't want to talk about how young or old to get married unless somebody wants to. We certainly can. I would think you'd want to get in line as soon as possible and get married. If you're 18 years old, get married. Why not? Oh, well, we got to go to school. Okay, go to school then. Lots of people go to college and are still married. I mean, there's some athletes, if you're in the college football or basketball, they're married with children, some of them. Now, that would be tough, but, just to be married, and they say, well, we don't have enough money. Well, maybe dealing with money issues for a long time. So, why not just get married? At least, the way I feel about it. How do you break the ice with a girl? A lot of guys will struggle with, how do I break the ice with her? What do I say to her? And then there you're talking about fear of rejection. In person, that can be an issue. Online, I never really, I never really had that experience. And just say hi, you know. Well, I know that seems so simple, but you know, you're thinking, what if she smiles at me and says hi back? Then what am I supposed to do? You know, I wasn't expecting that. Um, well, yeah, I know. I remember times when people would tell me, "Well, Bob, just go to a coffee shop, okay? Go to a coffee shop, notice a woman sitting there, and just kind of mosey up to her and I don't introduce yourself. I don't know, or I just couldn't do that. Or if you see somebody in a grocery store of all places, or somewhere, you know, and you're talking to them, and it's, hey, would you like to go out and grab some coffee somewhere? I mean, you just met, and that could work. It certainly could work. I'm sure it's worked before for a lot of people, but for a lot of us, that's not easy to do because you're thinking, okay, when she says get lost, creep, you know, then what am I going to do? But that's hard, especially when your confidence is all but shot, you know, from a lot of inexperience and a lot of rejection. Just saying hi is hard. Um, doesn't mean it's going to work, but it's nice to have the confidence to be able to engage somebody in conversation. But you know, and there are times the girl will just say, "Hey, I have a boyfriend," meaning we're done here. I don't want to talk to you. I have a boyfriend. I don't need to talk to you. And being rejected like that is just part of the process of finding somebody. I was never good at just continuing to go knock on doors, so to speak, and getting rejected. It's a great skill if you can learn how to do that, and just shrug it off and move on. That's a very admirable quality if you're a single guy, is to not fear getting rejection, of wanting to just talk to somebody and then she gets up and leaves or tells you to bug off or something. Um, but online, it's different. I never felt that with the Philippines. And I talked to like 4 or 5 women on Skype about the time or before I talked to my wife. She wanted to just go steady. So I said I would, and we got married real quick. Um, but I never felt uncomfortable with the others. I never felt like anybody was too shy to talk. I never felt that they were uncomfortable with me. You know, the discussions were pretty much up to me to guide, you know, to ask questions and set up another return call. But those are things you don't usually even get that far on an American dating site. So Philippines will be a lot more fun. You'll have to take a lot of notes and you'll have to spend a lot of time narrowing down who to talk to if you're going to do it that way with the Philippines. And you don't have to worry about rejection, really. You really don't. In fact, speaking of that, when a Filipina contacts you and you're just not, she's not your type or whatever, they handle well, just politely telling them, well, sorry, I'm not interested, or sorry, I'm looking for somebody with a different denomination, or looking for somebody younger or older or that doesn't have children. I think they'll be okay. You know, um, that might not go very well in America, but my experience was in the Philippines. They just, okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate you for telling me that. All very classy women. And what they're really looking for in the Philippines is somebody that is serious about marriage. Um, you know, if we had more guys tonight here, single guys talking about this, we could talk about how they handle rejection. Well, I was just mentioning rejection, but uh, what do you put in your profile before you even give yourself a chance? I mean, the profile is important, and I think not as important in America because I don't know if they read them or pay much attention. Now, the Philippines, sometimes I got the impression, I wonder if these Filipinos are looking at my profile. I put a lot in there because, I'm Mr. Serious and I wanted a wife. I wanted them to know that. Now my wife saw my profile and was amazed how long it was, and she really liked how I poured my heart out. I think she could tell I was serious, but she liked it. Uh, she liked that I took the time to detail, why I was on the dating site, what I was looking for. I don't remember what I said early on. I sure wish I still had it. I would probably tell you word for word what was on there. But she said it was long and heartfelt and, you know, to the point. And so that's what I did in my profile, and it caught her attention. A lot of the profiles of Filipinas are not going to be very, very long, similar to the ones in the United States. For some reason, women don't, well, I shouldn't say that. Generally, my experience was that women don't write much in their profile, or there's some women in American dating sites that will write 3 chapters in their profile. Have you ever experienced that? And most of it is going to be about what you cannot do or what you cannot be like. You know, my husband, my ideal boyfriend or whatever, must not this, and he can't do that, and he shouldn't do that, and he has to have this, but he can't do that. It's just a list of. It's almost like you're getting scolded, and you haven't even met the person. That's not good. That's a huge red flag. For the most part in the Philippines, though, I don't think they're going to say a whole lot for whatever reason. I'm a simple woman from the Philippines. I want someone to accept me for who I am. Looking for Western man. It's going to be very, very basic. So you want to use your filters that you have set up initially, because you might not get a lot of communication, a lot of details in a profile. And then, of course, you have to take it from there and decide on somebody to chat with and set up a Skype with, or some kind of webcam app, and get to know them even more. But it's a very exciting experience that I do hope younger guys will think about. And the last thing I had on my list was, as far as single guys, do you need to free up more time to date? Being too busy to date is going to be a problem, because, I mean, something has to give. At some point, something has to give. Um, I don't think I had a whole lot of hobbies. I mean, I was into lifting weights and exercising for about 30 years until a few years ago, and I just don't think I can afford to do that with my back and everything, neck, knees, So I was still able to do that. I mean, there were times I would communicate with Aiza from the gym. I'd be doing some, upright rows, and I would have the camera up here so I could talk to her. Or if I'm doing something like this, I'd have the camera there. Or if I'm on a stationary bike or whatever, I'd have the camera there so we can talk. Always had her around, and so that we could communicate as much as possible. Communicate with her in the morning, and communicate with her at night. So it was fun, and it worked out. So again, I want to restate that there is a new Love Beyond the Sea community corner made by the skill and expertise of Mr. E, who also wants to help men find love beyond the sea. So he's done a skillful job of creating this wonderful WordPress site. I've got 2 links. One goes to the site in general, and there's another link to sign up for the message board, which I hope in time people will go to, maybe as an alternative place to where they're going now if they feel like it's a little bit too negative. We'll just see. we're just trying. We don't know what effect we're going to have, but we're going to try. You know, I met with my pastor this morning for brunch, before I went and found out I had nerve damage in my foot. That's why it's hurting since surgery. Um, and we were talking about how marriage seems to be almost dead in some ways in this country. And well, I guess I'm still gonna say what I feel I need to say, and that's to help people from accepting that and believing that, and try to say what I think is the right way to make it to work. And hopefully people will, there are people that see things the same way, that would encourage other people to get married. I do take Love Beyond the Sea very seriously. It's not for fun, it's not for pleasure, it's not a hobby. I want it to be successful. And I don't know, that's just the way it is. And so thankfully, people like Mr. E can put together that wonderful WordPress site. And over the years, Lord willing, I want to keep making videos. When we go to the Philippines this December and January, I want to live in our house in the Philippines, because it's going to be kind of like an expat trial run. Can I handle living there with family around? My mother lives with us. That's no problem. But it's different when you've got 5, 6, 7 other people there at different times. We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next week or tonight. But we'll just see. And I want to get lots of video from the Philippines. I want to see some different places. I want to do some lives from location, from our house. I can always use Facebook and do lives wherever we go. So that'll be something I do hope improves the channel. And I do want people to subscribe to this channel, which of course I haven't mentioned yet, for 1 hour and 52 minutes, because I never do. I don't think about that. But yeah, I do want subscribers. I would like to get to 1,000 someday, and the 4,000 view minutes. For the number of subscribers, I'm doing pretty good for those view minutes. If everything stayed the same, just doubling the subscribers, and I would easily have the view minutes. So I'm getting view minutes. Most of them are not by my subscribers. So why they're viewing, I don't know. I'm glad they are. I wish they could become subscribers. And the message here on Love Beyond the Sea is simple. If you want to be married, don't give up. Consider a woman from the Philippines or some other country, as outrageous as that might sound. There are people all the time, posting videos of their first meetup with their Filipina. And some of them are older guys, some of them are guys in their 20s. But they, for whatever reason, feel like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to step out and meet somebody overseas, and they can find somebody overseas. They certainly can. So young or old, that's what I want to do, is to help people. So after I get done with this tonight, I'm going to have to do a few things to kind of finish up the video, make a thumbnail and description and stuff like that. Now, for you people still here tonight, is there anything you want to talk about? We can talk about anything here, because, well, I'm totally okay with talking about stuff related to relationship with a Filipina. Again, being single, those kind of struggles. Like I said, Aiza will be here Saturday night, 7:10. So basically 48 hours from today, or from right now. That'll be good. That'll be great. it's good to have her around. I don't have any regrets marrying her because I knew that when I married her, it was for better or worse, whatever comes up. And I can't imagine that, that she's my wife, but she is. My wife has her own channel that she just started before she unfortunately had to go to the Philippines for a few weeks. It's called the Fil-Am Essence. And you can go there on YouTube, or you can get it, well, in my descriptions in my channel, Love Beyond the Sea. You can get everything, including some Mr. E commentary on the lovebeyondthesea.wordpress site. So we have all these things out there now because I want to make a difference. And if I can't make a difference, then I'm not sure it's all worth it. So I want to play to win. I do want to enjoy it. It's just, it's easier to enjoy it when it's being successful and when people can say, hey, and I do get emails like this, from guys that say, well, you know what, I got inspired by your video meeting your wife, and I just met somebody myself in the Philippines, or I'm going to try for the first time to meet somebody in the Philippines. I do get once in a while video or emails like that. So I know it is making a difference. And everything on my channel, essentially, it's not a big secret, but I'm not putting stuff out there just for kicks. If I show a simple video of Aiza and I together, it's to show you and make the impression what it's like to be with her, just lying around, talking, relaxing, cooking, traveling somewhere. It's showing that we are together. It's showing that we belong together. It's showing you that we can get along together. And that's what I want everybody else to see. If my wife is driving in the Philippines or learning to drive here, I've had videos on that. She drove for the first time in the Philippines a week ago. I put that video up there, and she's an amazing woman. And that just goes to show you, she's a Filipina. They can be very bright and hardworking and dedicated and want to learn new things and just make a great wife. So you're looking forward for moving to Cebu. So when your fiance has a contract, I suppose, Big Rob, and then she'll have to either wait for the contract to end or have it be broken early so she can live with you in Cebu. I mean, obviously that's a big move, go from the States to Cebu. A lot of things have to happen, to make that work. We're thinking about that too, retiring the Philippines. And I keep thinking, wow, we got to sell this house. We got to sell furniture, cars, and how long will that take? And so on and so forth. Right now I'm making a blog to put all my content here. Well, thanks for letting us know, Big Rob. Big Rob's going to document, I guess, in blog form and video form, his what would you call it, Big Rob? Your adventure of meeting and officially proposing to your fiance. And do you mind saying again, Big Rob, where she is? I don't remember right now off the top of my head where she's living and working. But it's exciting, Big Rob. I'm happy for you. You're the type of guy that really understands, how you gotta keep trying, and you gotta try something new and something you haven't done before. And that's perfectly okay. I'm just glad you did it at your age, because the earlier you get married, the longer you can be married. Okay, she has to wait for her contract. There's no way that you could buy out that contract. I mean, I've heard that before. I don't know what it would cost, but occasionally I've heard of, where a guy can just say, oh, you got 1 year left, I'll pay him. No difference to them. They get their money, we break the contract, and and then she's free to move on. But that's just something I've heard. So I am happy for you, Big Rob. Big Rob has a channel. Michael and Heidi has a channel. Michael, I watched that video of yours. Did I send you an email or a messenger or something? I know I did. I think I did. I did like the video that you had on, my adventure in life abroad. It'll be exciting, especially to document for a long, long time for posterity. Dubai, that's right. Dubai working and living. So, Michael, that was a good video. I agreed with what he said, and I did watch all of it, and really appreciate you directing me to that video. Since I've been home from tearing out my knee and replacing it with another one, an artificial joint, I've had more time to do stuff like that, except I've been so tired most of this time. I've had 2 good days in a row here, but boy, it was tough, really tough. In fact, I'm going to go tomorrow to do some tests to see if what shows up. I know my CPAP was bad, and I just wonder if I just was lazy to take care of it and breathed in mold or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's my fault. I was lazy, wasn't cleaning it right. So now I have a So Clean 2. So all I got to do is dump out the water from the humidifier, dry it out with a paper towel, plug it in, put the mask in, shut the lid, turn it on, and it makes this noise for like 7 minutes. And then after that, it takes 2 hours to actually clean it, to pull it out, and it's supposed to kill 99.9% of germs and bacteria. So that was worth it. And I have to admit, my mother paid for most of that because I was, she was just out of the goodness of her heart, because I thought, well, something is just taking all my energy away. And maybe it's that. It works great. It's quieter now than ever. Aiza will like that when she gets back, because she doesn't like me using the CPAP because it makes too much noise. But depending on the CPAP you have, I had to get a different top to put on it with a little hose in it. And now it's quiet. It's so quiet I don't even know it's working. And I've never been able to say that in 10 years of having a CPAP machine. So, that's a good thing, except now I've gotten a cold since using it. So that's not a good thing. So, everybody, I'm glad you're here tonight. I wanted to try something out of the ordinary, talk about singles and singleness, and talk about the newly minted community corner. And hopefully one day singles from all over, or even married people, doesn't have to be single. It's not a singles community. It's lifestyle lounge, relationship lounge, with an emphasis on being a clean channel or a clean community message board, talking about relationships, and trying to be positive. If you're married to a Filipina, you can certainly go there. I would just, ask to be helpful to anybody that's struggling with being single. I do have a heart for single people, because I was single for a long time, and I kind of felt like I was I don't know, a special class or lower class citizen or something. Sometimes it can be tough. So you can get married too. You may have to make some changes in your life. I don't know. That's what the Lifestyle Forum will be like. Hopefully you guys will go there. I'll try to do a video in the next day or two where I go to the site and just show you around that community corner and the rules and so on and so forth. And just something I hope will be useful for people in the future. So, last call for comments here tonight, Thursday night. I do appreciate everybody that has joined in tonight. Thank you for the thumbs up, and Love Beyond the Sea will continue to plug along, and and try to help men to learn about the channel and to find love beyond the sea, because we're getting it out there in more places. Eventually, the search engine optimization statistics, will look better as we get more. We'll just be more patient, make videos, get the articles out there on the blog, and in time, I hope I can die saying I'm satisfied. I made a difference. We got people talking about their relationships and looking overseas, and learning how to talk to age gap protesters, and being devoted to their Filipino wife, and learning from past mistakes, and no longer have to be alone. That's what I want to do. And when Aiza gets back here, of course, she's going to be exhausted, because that 24-hour on the clock will actually be about 36 hours. So if you ever know what it's like to have a 36-hour day, it's a lot harder than a 24-hour day, especially if you have trouble sleeping on the plane. So I imagine we'll throw the suitcases down. My mom might make a roast and have some rice ready for Aiza. We'll see, but we'll probably just dump everything down and jump in bed, which would be great. I'm sure she's going to be tired. She may still be emotional, and but it will be so good to have this little woman back. So, Walt Tolander, thank you very much for your comment. It is always a pleasure doing a live stream, doing a video, interacting with people, and that's why people do live streams, is they want to interact with people, and it's all live. I don't know what anyone is going to say. I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. That's why it's exciting. I'll do a live stream, ask some questions, I'll do my best to answer them, and then hopefully in time, although this doesn't always happen a lot, often a live stream doesn't get watched a lot within maybe a day or two after it's done, probably because of its length. So one thing I may be doing, I've identified like 5 or 6 of my live streams that are like an hour to 2 hours long, and I can just do an upload, 1 or 2 short uploads on it, so more people get to see it. And so I've got plenty of content, by the way. I've probably got, if I can remember, it looks like 207, 208 video topics that I have yet to tape, and only about maybe 6 or 8 that I haven't written yet. That's what I want to do before I go back to work. It's about all I can do is sit and work on those articles, so that there's a lot of material to put out there in the internet for a long time, and go to the Philippines and show stuff from the Philippines. Maybe I'm going to drive in the Philippines. Frankly, I'm kind of scared of that, but seeing Aiza drive in Davao, I guess if she can feel good enough to drive, I should feel safe enough to drive. So yeah, I think we're going to rent a car while we're there, and probably both of us drive. We'll see. If she can do it, I can do it. So we'll see about that. So that's where we are with the channel. I think we have 353 subscribers. Lost a couple, haven't gained any for a few days. I've been checking the analytics, trying to see what I can learn from that. By and large, just want to have a channel to help people focus on finding love beyond the sea, as I did, as Big Rob is doing. Has a nice looking ring to slip on somebody's finger, as Michael and Heidi. Michael knows all about that. Walt Tolander, thank you for being here tonight. I'm not quite, I'm not quite as familiar with everybody here, because I know more about some of you gentlemen than others. So the WordPress links and stuff is right there at the top, and we'll talk about more of that in the future. If there is no more discussion, I am ready to finish this up and go to the community corner and just see if there's anything going on over there. It's something I'm going to have to be very patient with. So everybody have a good evening and a good finish up to the week tomorrow. And thank you, J Bud 5000. I always appreciate your contributions, J Bud. You're one of the very best supporters for engaging questions, and anybody in my situation really appreciates that. So I do thank you for everybody being here tonight. Now, one thing we've got coming up, I can mention, you might have caught it yesterday by accident. Get these ads out of here. Trying to set up a video with Philippines on Demand to do a live stream. And the topic there is going to be family separation when living in the Philippines. Because, he came up with that idea, and I thought, that makes good sense, because if I'm asking people to consider a Filipina for marriage, at some point, some of us end up moving to the Philippines. And what happens then is you probably have some family that you've left behind. So I've got, 25 questions to ask him. I want to do a live stream with Bill from Philippines on Demand. He has a very nice channel. He lives in Davao, and hope to get together with him in December or January. And but yeah, we want to do a topic there. Now, again, anybody ever has any desire for me to have a particular topic, please send me an email at lovebeyondthesea4you@gmail.com. The 4 is the number 4, lovebeyondthesea4you@gmail.com. If you have any ideas. J Bud, you sent me an article about Keanu Reeves, which I have put together to do a video on, and I appreciate that, because there's some of the comments made in that article about age gap kind of made me think, well, I don't know if I agree with that, but we'll work on that sometime soon, and appreciate that. Always open for ideas for topics. I do get that once in a while, and that's a good thing. The more involvement, the better. So thank you very much. I am getting hungry, and let you all go, and you guys have a good rest of the evening.